everybody is on the hype train for Battlefield 1. I'm kind of excited too. The trailer is amazing. It has like a million likes and stuff, and it looks really cool, and it pumps you up and stuff. But how can Battlefield 1 live up to the hype? You know, I'm kind of afraid that Battlefield 1 might flop, because, you know, usually when people get really hyped for a game, most of the time, you end up getting kind of disappointed by it. But I made a list, because I always make lists, of a couple ways I think Battlefield 4 can live up, Battlefield 1 can live up to the hype. And my first reason is to have a good console port. Now, look, I know Battlefield is extremely popular on PC. I have it on PC too, but I also have it on my Xbox One, obviously because I have Halo 5. And one of the things I noticed is that the Battlefield 4 port for Xbox One, at least for Xbox One, wasn't very good. Now, you know, what's bad about it? Well, I played it on PC and Xbox, so I think I have a pretty good understanding of this. Before I even go anywhere, the reason they should even care about the console port is because a lot of their money is gonna come from, if they're competing against COD, a lot of their money and their players are gonna come from consoles. So you have to care a little bit about them. And you know, my problem with the port for the Xbox One, and I think this is only really one problem, I guess, and that's the anti-aliasing was terrible. For those of you guys that don't know what that means, it basically is it's basically a visual thing that makes the edges of objects appear smooth. So if you look at this wall, like these walls in this, they look kind of smooth, right? And if you look at the hand of my my Spartan, his hand is pretty smooth too. Well, that's what it is. With bad anti-aliasing, what you get are jagged edges. Now, why is this a problem? Well, this is especially a problem in an FPS game. The reason it's a problem in an FPS game is because when you look a long distance away, the character, your enemy character, is going to appear a lot smaller, and his edges are going to be very jaggedy. So this actually ends up affecting your gameplay because you don't really know where to shoot. It's really hard to see them. You're just shooting at like these random pixels on your screen and hoping you hit them. And this was a major problem for me on the console because it was hard for me to see enemies at a long distance if I didn't have a scope. You know, if you got a scope, everything gets bigger and you can actually see. But if you don't, it gets extremely hard to take down people, and I was really sad about that. The other way the anti-aliasing affected me was that all the leaves, you know, on those maps that have a lot of grass and stuff, they don't look that good. I really don't know why the port was so bad for the Xbox One. I mean, I'm sure they can do better. Some people are gonna say it's just the Xbox One is weak as hell. Well, guys, you gotta deal with what you have. I just think they could have done a better job because other games have done it better. So I don't know why you guys can't do it too. I feel like that's kind of mean, but you know, yeah, come on, work on your port. Make it look nice. Because look, Black Ops, say what you want, Black Ops 3 doesn't look bad graphically wise. It looks okay. All right, my second reason. Now, some of you guys are gonna be a little weirded out by this one, but I wish DICE, whatever, I wish they would limit their DLC or make it free. One of those two. All right, limit it or make it free. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because Battlefield seems to release a lot of DLC, more than other games. I've noticed that my Battlefield game has gotten a bunch of DLC. I have the Premium Edition on Xbox One, and it feels like every couple of months I get a new DLC I gotta download. Anyways, why would I want you to limit DLC? Well, like I said, I want them to limit paid DLC. And the reason I want them to limit paid DLC is because DLC that's paid for, especially in an FPS game with a big community like Battlefield, it separates the players, and I really don't like that because, you know, you have less people. I remember I had the normal version for Battlefield 4. I remember that I wasn't able to play with some of my friends, and some of my friends weren't able to play with me because I had DLC and they didn't, and we weren't playing on a DLC map. And you know, that's just a perfect example of how DLC, paid for DLC, can separate the community. You know, you can have as much DLC as you want, but if you're gonna have a bunch of DLC, at least make most of it free. And yeah, that's one of the things that bothered me a lot. Another thing, I really hope that this time DICE learns to quickly fix bugs. I don't know if you guys remember this, but during Battlefield 4, man, for like close to a year, I would say, there were still these bugs, and DICE would just not fix them. It was the most absurd thing in the world to me. Sometimes, sometimes I would have really good games, no bugs, but other times it was a real problem. People freaking got really pissed. You know, DICE didn't have an open question and answers thing. They had pretty bad community management, and it just really pissed me off that they would not listen to people when their game had obviously a problem. You know, I paid for your game. Why is it not functioning properly? And that just, it pissed me off. I really didn't appreciate it. It wasn't good on their part, and I think they lost a lot of fans because of it. Hell, I took a really long break from Battlefield 4 just because of that. It just made me mad. You know, a lot of people are saying to chill out about Battlefield 1, and the hype is good and stuff because Battlefront was really good. Well, I'm not a developer or anything, but I would imagine that it's a little bit more difficult to make a Battlefield game than it would be to make a Battlefront game. You know, all these complex vehicles and stuff, and destruction, all that stuff. I would just think it would be a little bit more complicated than that, which is why I'm worried. What else is there? Well, my last thing, Battlefield, I don't know, I've had some connection issues with Battlefield. I don't know if it's just me, but on Xbox One, people freaking teleport, my bullets don't hit, all that kind of stuff. I really hope they develop some DICE-based dedicated servers. Halo 5 has some, oh my god. Halo 5 has some of the most amazing servers I have ever played on. They're dedicated servers, they're amazing, all shots hit, everything seems fair. It's just really great. And I hope they take the same route with the dedicated servers as Halo 5 has done. Because I think connection is a very important part that sometimes gets overlooked by people that play games. All of you guys are hyped about the graphics and stuff, and all the weapons and World War II settings, mixing up my words there. But you don't consider, the little things like, hey, are the graphics gonna be good? Like, I don't want jaggedy edges because it's hard to play a game with jaggedy edges. I was actually playing Battlefront, and Battlefront is pretty low resolution on Xbox One. I think it's 720p, maybe, I'm not sure. But it's not 1080p for a fact. I know that for a fact. Oh, my recording got messed up a little bit. I know for a fact it's not 1080p. But Battlefront also has that issue with anti-aliasing, where the edges just are not smooth. They're really jaggedy, and it's hard to see enemies at a long distance. And like I said, some of you are gonna say Xbox One is weak as hell. Yeah, whatever, it is, but you gotta work with what you have, and I think you can do better than all these jaggedy edges. Fix something. I just can't play like this. It's really annoying. Okay, I can't see people long distance. I have to get close to my TV. It's just really a pain in the ass. So I really hope they fix the anti-aliasing. My first point. Number 2, limit DLC. Limiting paid DLC, I think, is really important. Battlefield 4 has so much paid DLC, it's ridiculous, man. I think they made it free right now, but still, it was a major problem when the game was actually, really vibrant in its life cycle. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this. The game, I lose, I don't do anything really cool, so unfortunately, this is all you guys get. Yeah, we end up losing pretty hard. Thank you for watching all the way through, and I will see you guys next time.